agenda is our approval of minutes. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the January 7th, 2026 regular board meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries. Item 3, meeting reports, and first is our superintendent's report.
Sure. First thing, I wanted to congratulate our middle school students and our staff for the musical performance this past weekend, and no snow day this year, so that was good. I know there's some middle school students here, but there's always a great turnout, and I know families do a lot to support it, our staff do a lot, and I'm always impressed with the performance of our middle school students, so congratulations to them. Also, we have our esports team in the back with the Eagle uniforms on, so we invited them because they went to the state championship. And the advisors, Navarre Johnson and Justine Nigro, are here. They're going to just tell you a little bit about what they did at esports and how they were able to attend, and then introduce the students. They all have their medals on as well. And then we'll have them come up and be recognized. So, yes. Justine, you want to?
Sure. Thank you so much for having us. Eagles Esports is a club that facilitates competitive video gaming in a scholastic setting, which is usually a pretty isolating activity, and it is putting it in this scholastic setting where we can provide so many more opportunities for students. We're in our 4th year. We just finished our 4th year as an official club, so that's been a pretty fabulous experience. We have 2 competition seasons. There's a fall season and a spring season. Currently, we compete in the games Marvel Rivals, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We compete in Rocket League, and we have chess teams. And Syracuse University hosts our Play Versus championships, state championships, biannually. And this year we had 2 teams compete at championships. We had our Rocket League team and our Marvel Rivals team place. So I'll tell you about a few of these players here. For our Rocket League, they placed 3rd in the state, which was fabulous. We have Captain Max Yeager. We have John Stapleton and Kai White with us tonight, and they all medaled 3rd place, so that was really exciting. And then we also have our Rivals players here. We had our club president, Peyton Gray. We have John Stapleton. We have Luca Ruggiero, Max Yeager, our vice president, Niccolo Genovese, and we have Captain Will Jensen. And I think that was about.
That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, just a couple other things. We did put out our RFP for UPK. We will be expecting to offer the same number or possibly more seats for the 26-27 school year. So we should have those back in the next month or so. Both Child Time and TSL have indicated a desire to continue working with the district. We'll see if we get any other agencies who want to partner with the district. So those have gone out. We also, just a reminder, we have our capital project vote coming up February 3rd. from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. here at the high school. Hopefully we will have better weather than the last date. So wishful thinking on that. And the last, I wanted to provide the board an update. At our last meeting, the board had asked Tyler Technologies to provide an update on some of the transportation. Is there basically any difference between the options the board is considering for rezoning in regards to transportation? So I'm going to ask Brittany if you could just go to the next slide. So this basically, Tyler put this together, and you can see that they use something called live miles. The live miles is basically the miles driven with students on the bus, and then they also have a loading time, or which is the time the bus has students riding on it. So you can see in this, basically the average load time is pretty much the same. There's no real difference in regards to if the board allows fifth graders to remain at their current school. Basically, and this is all formula driven, so you can expect that perhaps there would need to be one additional bus at both Eagle and Glenma in order for that to happen. But there's no real big disparity between either options. And when I spoke to Ted Thien, who's done many of the presentations, he said he didn't see the fifth grade because not all the fifth graders will likely ride the buses. This is accounting for consideration that all of them would in fact take the bus, which is probably unlikely. So, okay. If there's any questions on that, but
Any questions?
seems pretty
for Jody?
negligible.
No, thank you. Thanks for
Sure.
the report on that.
Yep.
Catherine?
And Judy, thank you. Just one question. You were saying that it doesn't account for, or that this accounts for all students
Potentially,
choosing to stay in their.
it accounts for all students choosing to stay who
Yeah.
are eligible for the fifth grade, and all of them taking the bus.
Right, which we have to account for no matter what under
Correct.
state law. Yeah.
Correct.
Great. Thank you.
And that's all
Is
of the
that
things I have in my report.
Okay. And for the board report, I just wanted to thank the middle school for hosting us this evening. It's always nice to be here. So thank you, Dr. Klugman, for having us.
Great space.
I also wanted to echo Jody's comments about the musical. I had a chance to come see that on Thursday night, and you guys all did a phenomenal job. And so I give a shout out to the cast, the crew, the staff, and the parents who I know always put in a tremendous amount of work. It always is amazing to me the caliber of our middle school productions. Any other board members have something they wanted to share?
I just want to extend my thanks as well. It was just fun to see the performances, and the cast was phenomenal, and it can't be done without everybody else supporting. So I'm also just echoing my gratitude. It was a great time. So thank you.
Ewan?
We had 4 students, 2 from Glenmont and 2 from the middle school, who were selected to take part in the statewide Martin Luther King art exhibit. And I think it's more useful than ever to focus on Dr. King's words. So I thought it was really nice that we had students participate in that and have the opportunity to just reflect on that.
Next are our student reports. So Claire, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, the environmental club and the peer helpers are working together to build a courtyard at the high school, which is near I think it's outside the guidance office. The space will honor Madame Atala, and we're working with the French students and the Student Senate, and we've talked to a lot of adults. We measured the space, we figured out the funding, and it'll hopefully be up and running by June or at least the upcoming year. Yeah.
I love that. And do we have anybody from the middle school here tonight?
Hi. We would like to congratulate the cast, crew, and the pit band and the directors of the middle school musical production of Newsies. Another outstanding show, and we especially appreciate all the help provided by our parent volunteers. Thank you and congratulations.
Character t-shirts have arrived and are being delivered to students throughout this week. instead of the new design.
We want to also congratulate the middle school select choir on their outstanding WMHT music for the holidays concert that was aired by WMHT around the holidays.
We want to congratulate 2 of our classmates whose artwork was chosen for the statewide celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Their artwork will be displayed in an exhibit located in the concourse in downtown Albany.
We want to congratulate our Helping Hands Club, who, for the 2nd year in a row, was awarded with the distinction at the Kids Can Build construction event at Crossgates Mall to support food and security.
Congratulations to our 2 classmates who won our school spelling bee last week. They both await the details for the next round of competition, and we wish them luck.
Thank you all for your continued support.
Thanks, guys.
Next on the agenda is our presentation this evening, and it is on our BCMS Kindness Leader Microassemblies.
Thank you. Just to give you kind of an overview in 30 seconds or less of how this is going to run, there's a few slides that I'm literally going to rip through very quickly because it's really just a historical timeline. And then after those slides, Avani and Claire are going to help us a little bit, and they're the real talent behind this. You'll see that the adults kind of stand in the background. We're not front and center for this. And the students, starting with our high school students a few years ago, are the people that are leading this initiative, and for the first time ever now, because of, and thanks to some of our elementary principals, we have some of our 8th graders being trained to do the same thing at our elementary schools. So next slide, please. This really started back in the school year 22-23, and I'll introduce my 2 co-presenters. My name is Mike Klugman. I am the middle school principal. Behind me I have Miss Cirilla Peluso, who's one of our counselors in the middle school, and she was formerly, I think, in every one of the elementary schools, so she's familiar with all the staff in those buildings. Still, every year when the elementary kids come up, they know Cirilla, so she's got a great connection to the kids. And Mr. Alan Gadsden is one of our central office folks, and he works in all the buildings. He helps students as much as he helps staff, and he actually is kind of the spearhead behind all of this. So despite the fact that I'm doing the talking, the reason why I'm talking is because he doesn't want to self-celebrate, so I'm going to celebrate him the whole time. So here we go. Special thanks to Jody and Dave Hurst and Dave Domel. Alan brought in NCBI, which stands for National Coalition Building Institute. And if that sort of, you can sound out what that means, it's basically just bringing people together. So, and in that training, the first group of high school students that were trained were so, their capacity was so huge for impact. We literally were trying to find ways to expose them in ways that, we had NCBI in the district, Jody, like 20 years ago? And we were trying to think up really creative ways to get those kids out in front of other students to create linkage between kids. Next slide, please. So with that in mind, we came up with the idea of, parents, you may be used to this, you say something to your child 5 or 6 or 7 times, and then someone they really look up to, like an older sibling or peer, says the same thing, and it sinks in that first time, right? So we recognize the power of what our peer network can do, and we're trying to tap into that. And our high school students, we had the idea of doing these, what we would call micro-assemblies. We didn't want to put all 350 kids in a grade level in the auditorium. We wanted to go out into our study halls, which is anywhere from 18 to 25 students. And we had 2 high school students in every single one of those doing kindness, basically micro-assemblies, talking about how to be kind to each other, the power of words. Cirilla's probably going to talk about that a little bit more. So that's kind of a structural look at how we manage that. And we're fortunate that Alan was able to recruit a really high capacity critical mass group where we had enough high school students to run this through our 15 home bases at each grade level, as you see up there, periods 4, 5, and 7. Next slide, please. So the first time our high school kids came to the middle school was in June of 2024, and believe it or not, the scope of their presentation was fleshed out initially by Cyrilla and Alan. By the time it was finished, the kids had brought as much to it as the adults did. So they're, from the outset, they're really involved in the design process. We lean on them because we're talking about things like cell phones and status seeking and how that challenges, as you might imagine, people being kind to each other. And our high school students have a wealth of insights that they bring to this. Next slide, please. Student feedback from that very first one back in June were those sort of things in blue about themes, but it was all positive. Our high school kids, I think when New York State began its teacher mentoring program, we found that the mentors got as much out of it as the mentees did. And I think our high school kids report the same thing. The leadership that they take away from that is extended into the high school, and it leads those students into doing things that we probably wouldn't have envisioned before we started this. Next slide, please. In the 24-25 school year, a year later, we increased to 2 microassemblies at the middle school. Cyrilla's going to talk more about the thematic. You can see a little bit up there about what some of the themes are. But it's one of those domains, to Dr. McNay's point, there's no amount that is enough. When you talk about kindness and teaching kids social skill, this is something they're going to learn for the rest of their lives. So we're dealing with 10 to 14-year-olds who are influenced as much outside of their homes by social media and cell phones, even if they don't have them, as much as kids are like in their own homes by their parents' core values and obviously the school's core values. Next slide, please. Special thanks to Ian. So this year we're expanding, as I said, in going into the elementary schools. Our first pilot is with Hammer Grill, and that is coming up at the end of next week. We hope to get into some of the other elementary schools, but that's going to depend on, honestly, our reflections on how next week goes, so fingers crossed that our middle school 8th graders have helped us a lot with that presentation. And Cyrilla has met a number of times with that crew. We have them in what we would call a leadership lesson structure, where we're asking them to help us out in bringing language down to a 5th grade level, but we're really excited for that too. Next slide. And again, special thanks to Cyrilla. I'm going to let her speak a little bit about some of the themes that take over. And Cyrilla, I told her when we came in here, she puts me to shame with regard to her design creativity and what she can do. And her ability to listen and take and translate what the students' insights are into action has been phenomenal, and I'm hopefully not overselling it and making her feel really nervous. But with that said, I'm going to bring Cyrilla up. So this is Cyrilla Palooza.
Thank you. Mission accomplished. My hands are sweating. So on this slide, I have a couple pictures of some of the slides for the 8th grade presentation to the 5th graders. So the idea behind the presentation in the elementary school, on the far left says, preparing for the middle school starts now. So in the spring, we always have presentations in the 5th grade classrooms to get ready for the middle school, all information for them to hopefully ease their nerves about coming to the middle school. But we're adding this presentation really focusing on kindness and respect, because that's another level of development when you get to the middle school level, especially with advocating for yourself or standing up for others, which is a life skill no matter what age you are. Obviously that develops as you're getting older. So some of these slides are the circle of control slide. Really one of the takeaways that our 8th graders were talking about, that I've had conversations with our students about all the time, is we can control what we can control, and really empowering our students to focus on that and what they can control themselves and how we can't control other people's choices and words and etc. So with that, on the far right is how I control me relates to kindness, right? We can control our own actions and our own behaviors. And in the middle was 7 different points of advice directly from our 8th graders that they want to give our 5th graders as a takeaway from this lesson. So that's one of the most important things, is with the 8th grade presentation to the 5th graders, we want the 5th graders to leave feeling like they have something to go with them, that they have strategies, that they have a new level of confidence. Next slide, please. And then on this slide, the 2 images are part of the presentation that the high school students do with our middle school students. And we try to, the point of this that Dr. Klugman also talked about was practicing social skills as well, talking with people, kids talking with each other, the high school students who are middle school students, our middle school students with each other, focusing on communication skills, facing each other, eye contact, continuing conversation, but also more importantly, hearing what each other has to say and really taking that and developing that into a better understanding and level of respect for each other and, you know, thinking broader with our community and society. So the high school presentation, excuse me, is a little bit more about the real power of our words and the impact that that has on each other, and a level of understanding with inclusion and acceptance and diversity and you know, the impact that we have not only on other people but within ourselves as well. And the picture on the right side is, again, strategies. The goal is for our middle school students to have some sort of takeaway, an action plan, and strategies of what they can do to stand up for themselves or for other people.
Keep going.
Oh gosh, okay. Next slide, please. All right, so we have several high school students here that have been just absolutely phenomenal. Claire and Avani, and I can personally say when developing this and starting this program with Alan and Dr. Klugman a couple of years ago, I have leaned on these two students myself a lot, because really our middle school students want to hear something that's a little bit more relatable and has a different impact than us as adults. And so we started with creating a presentation, and I would bring it to the high school students and I'd say, what do you think? And I did the same thing with our 8th grade students, and I got a lot of feedback and changed the presentation a lot. But the high school students really just have a different outlook and different ideas, and I have absolutely loved it and just tried to go with that. And it's been, I think, so impactful for our students, and it's just been, we've had a lot of really great results come from it too. A lot of really good feedback.
So, Claire, you can say where we are, what we lean on you too. Before we turn it over to the board and any of the staff to ask any questions you might have, I have a couple questions. They're really softballs, but they're interesting in their reflections of how things have gone, because Claire and Avani have been with us from the onset of this. So the first question is for both Claire and Avani. What has been the best part of this experience in being a high school presenter so far for each of you? Whoever wants to go first can go ahead.
So the best part of this experience has probably been the amount of impact that I have underestimated that I have made. After presentations, or even I come here for Alana, the middle school Alana, and many kids have come up to me and said, you know, I want to know more about the high school. I want to know more about this, more about that. And I think it makes a big impact on not only me, but it shows how big of an impact it actually makes on everyone. And not only that, it also makes me feel good that there might be some sort of change in people when it comes to transitioning from the middle school to the high school. And there's also a big impact that that I personally I made with my peers when I spoke to the middle school staff back, I think last year. I don't really remember when. But Mr. Gaston, he told me that many teachers were coming up to him and asking him about my experiences, and which really made me feel amazing and heard that people are actually taking things into account. So that's how I felt about my experience as a presenter.
Claire?
I think one of the best parts of being a mentor is definitely like the community we built. We, through our training, we meet people we don't really cross paths with. We found common interests, and we learned how to be kind, supportive, and build relationships with one another. And these are the same values we try to facilitate to the middle schoolers. Another meaningful part of this experience is being able to pass down knowledge to younger students. Middle school is a very awkward in-between stage where you're not a child, but you're also quite not a teenager, and it's often when students begin to face the harsh realities like microaggressions and stereotypes. as presenters, we teach them how to handle these inevitable situations, how to be kind when they happen, and how to respond to them when it happens to them or to someone else. And I'm just happy that I am able to be able to teach these lessons, because I wish I had this when I was their age, and I'm incredibly grateful for these people to make these presentations happen.
Thank you both. Board member, staff, does anybody have any questions for either Ivani or Claire?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's anything kind of unexpected or anything that surprised you as you were both learning and engaging with your peers more and with the Coalition Building Institute, or surprised you when you're talking to younger students?
I think what most surprised me is that I learned a lot about myself through this experience. I was able to connect with the younger students and figure out what's been happening, because I think that I know what's happening in the middle school, but it's a growing age, and social media is growing more and more prominent, and I learned a lot about myself and about the world, and I've learned how to kind of combat these new challenges that the middle schoolers are going through, and try to guide them the best way possible. But yeah.
I was gonna say, middle school for me was the start of a whole new world, especially since I came to middle school from a different country. So once I stepped into high school, I think that, and even through these programs like NCBI, I think that I learned that a lot of people have very, very different experiences from you. I think my world was more compacted for sure before this, and being in these programs, being in NCBI, and working with Claire and other people, other peers, I think it's really built upon being more open-minded and seeing that different people have different experiences and go through different things.
Ewing?
I have two, if I may. First question is, what do you think the challenges are going to be to scaling this so that everyone gets the opportunity? And the second question is, what pushback do you have? I'm sure not everyone is just like, this is all wonderful, everything's happy. I'm curious what obstacles have come up that need to be done.
I'll handle the first one. Claire and Ivani, you go first. If you can speak to the feedback that you guys specifically gave Ms. Peluso in evolving the themes and the language, how much play did you guys have in that? And do you recall?
I really don't recall. Not so specific.
Yeah.
So we started off a couple of years ago. We started off more similar to the 8th grade presentation to the 5th graders, where it was kind of broadly about kindness and acceptance of others and differences. And then I remember specifically the first 2-day training through NCBI that I attended, I was just wowed listening to directly our high school students about their experiences or about their thoughts and feelings. And that opened my eyes personally. And I think it really turned a corner for me to help our students share their voices and to speak up and share, like Ivani said, share their experiences, because that matters. And there were several students that were talking about how hard middle school was, and that just made my heart hurt for them, and just wanting to help those really tough years. And so I think when it was time to start the next year of presentation, I feel like I personally leaned more on the high school students to give me their feedback on zoning in a more concrete and targeted presentation than just the broader idea of kindness. And so I think that's where we kind of steered a little bit more towards the diversity piece, in really specifically inclusion, the power of our words with microaggressions and how that makes other people feel, and just being aware that sometimes we might not realize what we say and the impact or the hurt that it causes other people. And so every meeting I think that we had with the whole group was just learning more and more, and I feel like I also saw this change with the high school students feeling more confident to really express themselves and to talk about this, so that we could have it, have the whole presentation have a true meaning and impact with our middle school students.
I'll tell us the second piece.
The scale.
Well, yeah, the piece of the pushback, we really don't get too much. I think the biggest piece we find is that when some high school kids want to join in, schedules become a big thing. Like they can't get out of class, certain things like that happen. Tests come up, or it's just all the things that are important to kids academically. Where NCBI is a 2-day training, so they're out of class for 2 days. So that becomes a reason why some get deterred. But others want to join it. The kids, again, talk to each other. They become the voice of the program. So when we first started it, it was more of going to the adults to identify kids to come in. And now we've moved to a point where now the kids are talking to each other about coming in. So with the high school kids coming to the middle school, the high school kids that done the 2-day training will come to the middle school, but then now they have some friends asking to come along that didn't go through the 2-day training, that want to see what this is all about. So now we have a good problem, right? We have kids that want to come in. We started the program, I believe, with 23 kids, and our last sign up this past year was close to 40 kids. And so we're going to tag on some more kids coming down to the middle school bless you, as well. One piece I don't want to forget to say is, out of the 2-day training, this past training, the two facilitators of the NCBI program, that is a nationwide program, asked our students to do a skit. It's a skit part of the program, where they go through diversity and inclusion, and it's a whole big thing, and it's a lot of fun for the kids to do. They asked our students to put together a video, and they would be given a $200 gift card to them for doing this. So this video would go out on what microaggressions, diversity, and inclusion look like, and our school will be represented in their nationwide work. So they were really, really impressed with our students here at the school, so in the district. So this is growing. It's a powerful thing. It's fun to watch kids talk to kids about being a part of it. It's fun to watch kids walk the halls and talk about it. You see it during the training. We give them breaks throughout the training. So on day one, if we give them a break, the kids are looking in the window wondering what's going on in that room. They want to be a part of it. So this is going to continue to grow. So that's where we're at with it, and it's a really positive thing to see the kids do.
Yeah, I would just echo the comment about scale, because in the first year it was tough with only, I think Alan said 23 or 25 students. We're up to more than 60 in the high school now, and 40, at last count, maybe 43 or 45 in the middle school. And we have 15 home bases, so we try to put 2 high school kids in those home bases when they come here. We are, for example, when we go to Hammergirl, there's 3 5th grade classrooms. We're putting 4 8th graders in each of those classrooms, so we travel with 12 to 15 kids. And now that we're a couple years into this, the scaling is really not the issue, because we're scaling with a critical mass of kids that are really talented and enjoy the work, and they're dragging friends into this, which is great. Cirilla would comment, I think that all of us are building the curriculum as we go, so that when we get into subsequent years, we both have a staggered curriculum, so kids aren't hearing the same thing over and over again. And yet our 6th graders, it may be new for them as they come in, or our 5th graders as we get into our 5th grades. So we're looking to build a curriculum which is probably 4 successive years of presentation. So our kids hear this over and over again, and they're hearing it from the kids who are living the model when they go to the high school.
Cool stuff.
Questions?
Before we leave you all, on, is it Friday we're going? Next Friday? Next Friday, what we're handing out to the board is they're invited to come see the 8th graders go down and do the training with the 5th graders at Hammergirl. So they're getting invitations right now to come down. And again, as Dr. Plugman said, Rilla, we were talking earlier, came up with the idea for the invitations because we were just saying we should just invite them, and she's like, let's just take that to another level and do invitations. So it's great. One thing about this position that I do is the first word in it is coordinate, and coordinate to me means build a team. And I want to say thanks also to the transportation staff. They bust these kids all around, and us as parents, I'm a parent as well, to get our kid to and from somewhere safely, short trip, long trip is a big deal. We provide lunch for the kids, and even though we provide and they bring it in, still our cafeteria staff works hard to help us with anything we need. So I want to thank them. Our counseling staff in all the buildings that we do this in has been extremely helpful. I've not heard one no to anything that I've asked for a child. And again, to Jody and Dave, thank you for your help with it all. But building a team of people that are all about kids first has been a lot of fun doing this job because when we look at diversity, we look at inclusion and all that, it can get messy in the world, but when it comes down to it, we're just trying to help kids be good human beings. And if we can do that as a school and as a staff, I think we're going to set our kids up to go out into the world and be really good people. So that's why we do this.
Great. Thank you so much. I think I speak for everyone. I really appreciate all the work you're doing, and thank you for coming and sharing it with us tonight.
Thank you. Good job, Claire.
You have to say that. Yeah, you can say that. Just for a little while. Before we move on to our next item, I forgot at the outset just to ask if we have any PIG or SUPA students with us tonight. I see a couple hands in the air. Thanks for coming. You guys need to stay until 9 o'clock or the meeting is over, whichever one comes first. And just make sure that you come up, there's sign-out sheets up here. Make sure you come up and sign out before you leave so that you get credit for being here. Next on our agenda is our recognition of public comment on an agenda item. I have a list of people who signed in to speak to the board on an agenda item, so I will go through that and then at the end call for anybody who did not sign in. Just as a reminder, the board uses public comment as an opportunity to listen to concerns but will not debate issues or enter into a question and answer session. Speakers have 3 minutes to speak, and you are also more than encouraged to provide the board with a written copy of any comments that you'd like to make. And I'm going to ask,
Brittany's going over there.
Brittany is going to help keep time for us. I'm wondering, are people going to be talking right there? Yeah, okay. So keep an eye on Brittany. She will hold up a yellow card when there are 30 seconds left, and then red at the end. The first person that I have is Joseph Storch.
Good evening. Thank you, members of the board. My name is Joseph Storch. I'm the parent of a middle schooler and a 4th grader at Eagle. On behalf of a number of families who live in Westchester Woods, who I've spoken to, I rise to respectfully urge the board to adopt option 3A. The remaining 2 options, 3A and 3B, are very similar. In fact, the only difference is whether 33 students in 51 move from Eagle to Hammergrail, or 22 students in 57, 58, 89, and 90 make that move. Of the remaining options, 3A is best. Our neighborhood, Westchester Woods, is a nice walkable neighborhood to Eagle Elementary School. The neighborhood is full of walkers and bikers when it is warm, not today. The walk, bike, and run day in May is packed all along the route. Happily, the vast majority of the route from Westchester Woods to Eagle has a protected bike path and a crosswalk. Kids cross Cherry with a crosswalk and then are on the bike path the entire way until they cross at the crosswalk between the high school and Eagle. Eagle is a true community school for that neighborhood. Hammergrail is wonderful, but is a riskier walk or ride for kids in that neighborhood. Murray Avenue unfortunately features drivers who speed between Cherry and the bypass, often on their phones. It is a straightaway and they reach very high speeds. The town recognized this danger and put in mini speed bumps of sorts, but they are ignored by reckless drivers. Parents will understandably be a bit more nervous with their kids walking and biking to Hammergrail compared to Eagle. Option 3B will require 2 more buses and 4 more live miles per day, putting 720 more miles on bus tires and expending $500 more on gas each school year. A criticism of 3A is that even though the neighborhoods are much closer to Hammergrail than they are to Eagle, and closer than 51 is, in that plan, the kids in 57, 58, 89, and 90 would have to cross the bypass to get to Hammergrail. But they have to cross the bypass to get to Eagle right now. Either way, they have to cross the bypass, and Hammergrail is both a shorter walk and a shorter drive for those neighborhoods. But in 3A, Area 51 remains walkable and bikeable to Eagle. 3A also has the fewest numbers of 5th graders moving a larger group for just 1 year. The committee has recommended 3A and 3B. There are certainly positives and negatives to each. In 3A, 51 maintains walkability, and 57, 58, 89, and 90 get closer to their elementary school, shorten their drive, and cross the same bypass. It moves fewer students overall and fewer 5th graders. It requires 2 fewer buses and hundreds of fewer live miles per year. With gratitude for your time and your willingness to hear from the families, I respectfully urge the board to consider adopting 3A. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Downey.
Good evening, board and members of the public. For those who don't know me, my name is Matt Downey. I live at 6 Dorset Street, the community known as right next to Eagle. We're the anchor neighborhood for Eagle. I used to be a board member. For anyone who doesn't know, I served on the board from 2008 to 2017. Sat in every position. I was a vice president for 2 years and president for 5 years. Fully respect the job you guys are doing, and I thank you for your dedication to the community. I've been there. Back in 2008, when they were doing the last redistricting, my neighborhood went to Clarksville, along with the neighborhood along Park Edge. People from Haswell and a bunch of other communities went out to Clarksville. 2008, our neighborhood advocated to be put into Eagle. We were never part of Sunlands at that time. We were walkable, and the decision was made to move our neighborhood into Eagle since we were the closest neighborhood to Eagle. We moved into Eagle. I have no vested interest. My kids are already out of school. They're giving me grandchildren now. For me, I have no vested interest except for the children I see every day walk, including today they walked. The coldest day, they walked. I took a picture of it. It's really amazing to see the community that is that neighborhood and how close together they are. And they don't do it for a photo op for Ride to Bike Day. They actually walk every day. And that's what I ask you to please consider. These 33 children that you're moving under both options, it's unacceptable. They are the closest children to their neighborhood schools. Bethlehem has always prided themselves on a neighborhood school. This is our neighborhood. We're the closest 33 children. Please do not move them. It would be an injustice to them. I went and did the closest house to Eagle from our neighborhood is 0.2 of a mile away. The furthest house is 0.7 of a mile. The furthest house that you're going to move anyone from is 0.7 of a mile. You move us to Sunderland's, the closest house is 0.7 of a mile. 0.7 of a mile. The furthest one is from Eagle. The furthest house, if we move to Eagle, is 1.1 miles away. I don't understand how you would move the closest neighborhood. I don't believe you would move the closest people that live to Sunderland's. You wouldn't move the closest people that live at Hammergrill. You wouldn't move the closest people that live to Glenmont or Ellesmere. I'm not sure why you would move the closest students. So please, for the students, not for the parents, not for the other residents, for the students that you're thinking of moving, the 33 students you're moving under both options, please don't move them. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Miller, and I'm the parent of 2 current elementary students and 1 future student.
I know this decision is heavy. I've watched you ask tough questions, and I thank you for that diligence. Tonight isn't about lines on a map, it's about ensuring student success. As you weigh these proposals, I want you to ask yourself, have the district leaders present a clear proposal that shows rezoning will lead to student success? I don't believe they have. First, let's look at the class size argument. The district has anchored this entire plan on a target class size of 18 to 22 students. We haven't heard anything to support these numbers, but we know that they're the preference of the district leadership. Preference is not proof. As a student, I wouldn't be allowed to submit an assignment without citing my sources, yet this board is being asked to approve a proposal with 0 footnotes, so I put my own grad school coursework on hold this weekend to do the academic research the committee skipped. According to the Tennessee STAR study, a leading study on school class size, the biggest impact on academics happens at 13 to 17 students per class. The School Superintendents Association suggests that 15 students per class. We're disrupting families for a number that seems arbitrary. If we're moving over 100 children, we need rigorous research to support their decision, not just a preference that fits a spreadsheet. Second, most concerning, the staffing of these proposals. We know that these options add 7 or 8 new class sections next year. That means new teachers and new aides. And we haven't seen a strategy to staff these classrooms and support our students academically. You've spent months reviewing multiple great detailed presentations on the capital project, hearing about millwork and ceilings and the AC for the renovated classrooms. But you haven't heard any presentations, or you've had a lot of great presentations for a project you don't directly control the outcome of anymore, but you control the destiny of our children in these proposals. If the district leaders felt like you needed multiple briefings on the infrastructure updates for the capital project, you certainly need time to discuss who will be teaching in these updated classroom sections. One of the examples to justify this rezoning process was the OT programs at Glenmont are sharing space because of lack of facilities. But we haven't heard anything that these rezoning proposals will actually address situations like that. Third, let's talk about academic success. Throughout the district, our 3rd and 4th graders are performing exceptionally well based on an academic update presentation at the November 5th school board meeting. Research from the Annenberg Institute proves that transferring schools triggers a mobility penalty and leads to a measurable drop in academic success, even for students transferring within a school district. So I ask you to measure these proposals against our core values: academics, wellness, character, and community. If you were a parent sitting in these seats tonight, how would you feel? Would you feel confident in your child's success next year, or would you be worried that the district hasn't done enough to show that this rezoning process will benefit them? Voting yes on these proposals is not voting for a strategy of student success, it's just voting for a map. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jessica Fuller. I'm one of the parents, one of many that was responsible for the petition that ran around at the end of last week. It currently has well over 100 signatures. I also am the daughter-in-law of Sheila Fuller. I don't know if any of you know that name, but she was the board president for a while. She was town supervisor, and she was the Hammergirl PTA president when she was alive, and she would be disgraced. So I'm going to start by reading some of the petition, then I'll formally submit it for everyone's review. We addressed it to Holly Dellenbaugh. It says, Dear President Dellenbaugh and board members, on behalf of the attached signatories, we respectfully request the district pause the potential elementary rezoning vote and prioritize student wellness. We believe the current elementary school rezoning process has been rushed, rigid, opaque, and lacks the necessary depth to ensure the best outcome for our community. The district has failed to articulate how these changes will enhance the actual daily experience of our students, or why these proposals are being rushed despite declining enrollment data. We feel this process has neglected the district's core values of academics, character, community, and wellness. Students have been treated as numbers on a spreadsheet rather than individuals, ignoring the deep social bonds that form a school community. Our primary concerns are as follows. Lack of flexibility. The current options fail to explore creative, flexible solutions that could allow families to remain in their current schools while gradually and delicately reducing the overcrowding in some schools. Breaking social bonds. By forcing many families out of their schools, the district is severing friendships. This causes meaningful distress, not only to the students being moved who must start over, but also to the friends left behind who lose their peers. Core values ignored. This process has prioritized logistics over the stability of our children's lives. Therefore, we respectfully request the following: immediate pause on rezoning. We request a formal pause to the current rezoning process and vote. We ask the board to restart the conversation to include data-driven, logical, and creative options that offer flexibility to families and expanded community involvement from groups such as the Special Education PTA and the school PTAs, school counselors, district transportation department, parents, and more. We also ask the district provide families with the actual data in addition to the consultant's sanitized presentations. The district has only been providing the presentations one day before public hearings, so we further ask that families receive this information at a reasonable amount of time moving forward in advance so that we can meaningfully participate in our children's future. There's more, but I'll submit this. I see that my time is coming to an end, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Tamara Reiner.
Hi, my name is Tamar Reiner, but I'd like to yield my time to Jessica Fuller.
We meet again.
It is unusual, but I think we can let it go under circumstances.
So that was my formal hat. This is just my parent hat, concerned parent in the district. My name is Jessica Fuller, and I'm here as a concerned parent in the district. My children don't move in either proposal, but I've had a child bounced across elementary schools because of this district's terrible special education practices. So I am unfortunately very aware of how being ripped from a school and forced into a new one impacts children and families. I am here to beg the school board to please stop the vote and not move forward with the unnecessary relocation of hundreds of children. Both plans propose moving our community's children from all grades to new schools. Some children make friends easily with no social or emotional issues, and they may be fine moving, but those children are the minority. I spent years as a teacher and have my master's in secondary education, and I can assure you the majority of children have a hard enough time navigating social settings and excelling at schoolwork as it is. To rip them from the only elementary school they've ever known will have lasting effects. Many kids do not make friends easily and have worked very hard just to find a solid friend or two. When you move hundreds of children, not only do you impact those hundreds of families, but the children and families of those left behind who may have depended on their moving classmates for the only friendship and companionship they feel each day. I'm aware of the challenges we face now, and I know some schools are overcrowded while some have unused classrooms. That being said, it is a direct result of the superintendent, school board, and district failing to project accordingly and plan ahead. Why should our children pay the price for the mistakes and neglect of the adults entrusted with their care? I have advocated since the beginning of these meetings last year for a softer approach to fix the issues. There are dozens of great ways to do it, and one simple option is to have less kindergarten rooms for next year at Eagle and Glenmont through a flex zone approach and only rezone to a new building the kids entering school for the first time. There they can form lasting friendships and enjoy one building for 6 years, and we can leave the current students alone without causing irreparable damage. My approach doesn't fix the problem overnight, but it effectively redirects 80 students, 40 from both schools, in year 1, another 80 in year 2, and effectively solves it entirely by the start of year 3, all without a single child being ripped away from their community. Many others in this community have offered up creative solutions over the last few months, all of which have been largely ignored by the district and board. So I beg you now, do not vote tonight. Do not force our children, the most fragile and special part of the community, to pay for the sins of our district leadership. I am partly responsible for the petition that I just read that has more than 100 signatures, and we've had a lot more, but many families responded by saying things like, what's the point? The district's made up their mind. The school board clearly doesn't care what matters to us. I'm here to say it's not too late. The school board doesn't have to feed into that narrative and confirm everyone's worst fears that you really don't care about our kids. Instead, you have the chance right now to be the hero, to stand up and say, you know what? These plans are far from perfect. They're highly problematic. The process has been rushed. Alternative solutions are possible, and we'll work to find a way. I beg you one last time tonight, after months of begging, please show you care about our children. Make them the forefront of this decision.